And just so everybody knows, Teresa and I, while we were on a break, had a quick discussion about this. Part of the reason that we're offering this class for free is because we're figuring out sort of where we need to tweak it. And excuse me, carbonation did not agree with me. And while we have beta tested this previously with a much smaller group of our regular customers, trying to do it live with a larger group of people. And I'll be honest with you, tonight I think we have 60. So that's going to be even more interesting. Means that we found what we need to correct, what we need to fix, how we need to do this a little bit better. We will be offering this same program, Scan and Cut Basics, for the Gen 1 and Gen 2 scan and cuts again. We will definitely let all of you know that. So we're going to clean up the presentation a little bit and redo it, but we're going to keep going. So what I am going to ask from each of you at the end of class is if you would give us some feedback, so that when we do this again, we can, there's some questions you're going to have, and we're going to say they're coming in a future class. But what we want to do is create a very clear video set that we can post, so that when people come in and have machines that we no longer carry, we're able to refer them back to basics prior to joining us for creative classes. I'm hoping that made sense to everybody. Okay, so I'm going to turn you back over to Miss Teresa. She's back at the scan and cut.
Okay, I think now that we've gone through our settings, we can move our machine a little bit so we can see a little bit. Okay, let's talk about our blade and our blade holder. All right, we've already gone through the blade basically. So in order to install your blade, you're going to take your cap off and make sure you can find it when you need it. The flat side of the blade is the back side. This part here slides right down into your blade holder. You don't have to push it down hard. You just drop it in, lines up. You take this little gray lever and you push that down and you've installed your blade. Okay, now when you are ready to load your mat, you want to first, we take off our acetate cover that we talked about. Then you want to line your mat up. There's like an indentation between here and here. You'll see this little space. Fighting with the camera here. All right, and you just gently line your mat up. And like I said, with this generation, there's an arrow on either end, so the mat can go either front to back or back to front. Later, the DX mats, they only go one way. So here on the right-hand side of our screen, you'll see a little box that above the start stop that looks just kind of like your screen. That is going to be your load mat button. All right, so we've got our mat lined up and we're going to push our load mat button. All right, and you can see that the mat just went in a tiny little bit, just under the rollers, so that the machine has a grip on the mat and it's ready when we're ready to go. So let's go ahead. Let me take this back out. Okay, and I'm going to put a little piece of cardstock on here. Just place it on my mat. Okay, and let's put the mat in. load my mat. You always want to make sure that whatever you're loading into your machine is flat on the mat. It's not going to catch. Brother has a tape, low tack tape that you can add as well so that things don't slide around. You don't want them to slide around. So,
Teresa,
yes,
the camera's not showing your little screen very much.
right. Okay, we're trying to show the mat.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that I've got the mat in, here's our little blue tape.
A washi tape.
Yeah, washi tape, so that I can put down if my mat is not sticky enough. We also have a brayer that we can use to roll on our piece of cardstock to secure it more to the mat. If your mat's very sticky, I would not use the brayer just because you're not going to be able to get the cardstock removed from the mat. Then also we have our little squeegees. This is especially handy when you're using vinyl and you're getting the air bubbles and things out of your vinyl. So what I wanted to show you was, okay, so we've got our mat in, right? And now I'm going to go back up to our patterns, right? And let's just select, oops, patterns. Here's our heart. And let's just say we want to do 3. Okay. Now this icon on the left, this little, looks like an oven door maybe. That is your scan mat button. So I've got my mat ready. I've loaded it. You have to make sure that you load it. A lot of times people will forget to load their mat and then oh, it's not scanning. It's not scanning. The initial load process where it just grabs your mat and is sitting there waiting for you to go. Okay. So now we press this little button here and it says scan the mat, show the background, put materials on mat, and so you can move it around, start and stop. So you've got your scan button pushed. We're going to do start. And remember, you want to make sure there's nothing behind your mat so it'll feed all the way through. Right now it's scanning my mat. And it's going to show me where this piece of green cardstock is. Okay. So now I've got that. I've got 3 hearts and I can come here and I can say, all right, let's move this one down here. Let's move this one over here. And we can move this one here. If we needed to do any work to the hearts, this one's a little off the mat. So if we needed to adjust the size of our hearts, we have our button up here where we can select. So we selected one before, we can select all of the hearts like that. Then we can resize the hearts if we need to. We can flip the hearts. That doesn't do much for us. Okay, so we have our editing screen here. We can group the hearts all together. We can ungroup the hearts. If we wanted to ungroup, if we wanted to take those back, ungroup, buddy. Okay.
What if they're hard to see where you're going there?
So, yeah, green's probably not the best color.
But you can change it. Your setting.
Change the color of the cardstock?
No, lighten it up.
Oh, the background.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of something else. Okay. Which is tools. Nope. Well, we could change the background if I could find it. Go back home. There, here's our background. All right. Okay, and then we'll do our heart. And we'll do 3. Okay. And we can see that the background is a little lighter. Okay. So if we wanted to, all right, we've scanned it in. I didn't have to rescan because I didn't touch my mat. So it's still where I originally scanned it. Okay. Oops. Let's see. So we wanted to do select all. Okay. And now I've got this weld icon is activated. So I can hit that and see what it does. It welds these shapes together. It deletes the intersecting lines. Once you do this, it's irreversible. You can't go back to the original 3 hearts. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Okay. All right. So now we've put our blade in. Okay. Our blade is in. I'm going to show you the test cut. So I want to go to my blade here. Where am I? All right. And I'm going to set it, since it's paper, I don't know anything about this blade, but I'm going to set it, I think, at about 4.
What are you doing
3.
with your finger?
Oh, I'm just trying to see if the blade is sticking out. You shouldn't do that. Insert my blade back in, push it down. All right. Now, we're going to do a test. All right, we press test. That was back on our pattern screen here. Test. All right. Now you
Can't
can
see
choose.
the top of your display.
Bring it up closer. Yep. There you go.
Okay. So we'll go back here. Pattern, test. All right. We have 4 different shapes here that we can choose from. Generally, I just pick the square. We can adjust the size of the square. I'm going to move it up a little for you. Oops. Okay, and we're just going to do 1. So I'm going to say set. Now, it's a little hard to see, but there's a little square. I touch it, it turns red at the top of the mat. It's not on my paper, so I'm going to just point at it and drag it back down.
It's not any better. Sorry, I tried.
It's a little, now that it's red, you can kind of see it. Okay. I'm going to drag it down toward the bottom of my paper to run my test. I could leave it up at the top, but it's going to feed the mat through. It's going to cut. And then if I want to check on my test cut, which we're going to do in a minute, then I'd have to like work at the top of the mat and lift it. And the chances are I'm going to have to rescan because it's going to move. So you'll see why an easier method is just to move it to the bottom of your screen to an open space where you're not going to cut. So I'm going to say, okay. And for this, I'm going to cut, press cut. It says processing, press cut. It's not cutting. Start.
She didn't press the start button.
Okay, so now here we are at the bottom of our screen. Okay, there. Where's my mat? There it is. Okay.
Here, I'm going to turn you a little bit.
Okay. Yep. All right. It's kind of hard to see, but we've got a little tiny square here. And I'm just going to bend my mat a little and try to pull that square up. Oops.
Where's your spatula?
And my spatula.
That's not coming loose.
Yeah, it's coming up. And I can see that it really didn't give me a good cut, but I wanted to make sure that I did not cut through my mat because I would rather adjust my blade again and do a second test cut as opposed to cutting through my mat. So I'm going to say, it says finish cutting. So I'm going to take my blade out and I'm going to adjust it. Let's do a 5. Small increments is best. Replace my blade. Now, since I've already cut, well, my paper moves, so that kind of doesn't help the
Can we
matter.
put the people down the side of the screen and not the top? Is that we're covering up a lot of what you're.
Right now, she hasn't done anything on the screen yet. She's still working with the mat. We wanted you to see the test cut on the mat. Where's your brayer?
It's in the package. I don't have one.
How do you get from the picture of the scanned design back to the test cut page?
On, is that Sharon?
Yes.
Sharon, on your particular model, you have to do your test cut first before you set up your whole process of what you're going to do. On the later models, the DX model, my test cut icon shows up when I'm ready to cut. But I remember that from our in-person classes on your machine, you had to prepare your fabric, cardstock, whatever, on your mat and do your test cut first before you went ahead and added your pattern and whatever to your screen. Okay?
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, your test cut button is on your home screen.
Okay.
So you know what that means? And just for everybody else who does not know, Sharon's been with me longer than my store has been open. But you know what that means, Miss Sharon? She's not answering me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hey, I have a trade-in 125 DX.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I will talk about buying things if you're one of my regular customers.
I'm ready to throw this one through the window right now, but it's winter, so I don't want to do that.
No, we don't want to do that. Okay, we're gonna go back to the screen.
Okay. I lost my pattern. All right. Let's put something back on here.
Do your hearts. Oh, that is blurry.
Is it?
It is blurry. Hang on. Can I see on that camera?
And scan.
It's a little less blurry, a little further out.
Now, if my cardstock had not moved, I would not have had to scan it in again. But when I was trying to check the test cut, it did move. So that's why I had to scan in again. So there's my hearts. All right. Okay. Oh, but we have to go back to the test. All right, sorry. I'm not used to this machine. Go back here, okay. So we don't have to have our patterns up. We just have to do our test cut. That's what we're doing, sorry. Okay, go back to my square, make it a 1/2 inch. All right, I'm gonna set that, drag my little square back down. Now, if my paper had not moved, I would want to make sure that my square is not on top of my first test cut, because otherwise it's not going to be a true test cut. All right, so since my first one was over here somewhere, I'm just going to move my square here for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we've got our square. Now we're going to say, okay, cut, and then start. Okay.
Don't move it yet. So you can see that that one dropped out already.
Yeah, now let's just make sure. Yep. Did not cut the mat. There's a little bit of an etch in the mat, but that's not uncommon. The more you use your mat, the more you'll see little marks on it. It's not going to hurt it as long as it doesn't go through to the other side. And you can see this is a nice, clean cut square. All right. So I would know that now this blade is set to the point where I could go back here. I can go to pattern. I can go to my hearts or whatever else I was going to do. Let's say 3, set those, move those around. Should have done shamrocks.
In the
Doing
green, yeah.
Okay, so we've got those all ready to go. We say, okay. I don't have to scan it in again because my paper did not move. So it's, oh, but I moved my hearts. So let's go ahead and scan, start. Okay, so there we are. We can see where the test cut was. Oops, gotta go back up here. Here's the screen. Okay. You can see that little open space here. That's where my test cut came clean. All right. Now I want to make sure that my hearts are lined up enough. Now I can say, okay. I can say cut and I can say start. And it'll cut my hearts out for me. So you can see why the test cut is very important. And it's really something that when you're starting a new project, you want to go ahead and do your test cut. It's going to save your materials and it's going to save your mat. And again, this is where your little log would come into play, that you would know that, you know, for this particular cardstock, I would need this blade currently set at 5 to cut my pieces. However, if I cut 25 sheets of cardstock, 10 sheets of cardstock, then I may need to adjust my blade and do another test cut. But you can see there's hardly anything on the mat, and these came out really nice.
And what's that thing in your hand?
Oh, this thing in my hand is a spatula. This is the one that came with your accessories kit. It was a nice little plastic spatula. But as you become more creative and more adventurous, you probably would like to have the Brother tool set that has a nice metal spatula and this nice fancy pick, which is really nice. Well, take the plastic off. It's nice for doing tight spaces or lettering when you have to poke out the little, what we call weeding. If I had a design where I had to pick out all the little centers of the O's or the middle of the P, something like that. When you take away the extra pieces from your design, it's called weeding. You're weeding out what you don't need. So this little pick comes in very handy for that. Okay. So we've got our little hearts here. Right. That was our card.
Can you cut multiple layers of cardstock?
So the answer to that is yes and no. If you had multiple layers that were secured together, you could potentially do it with the deep cut blade, which came with the scan and cut one, but was a separate purchase for the scan and cut twos. It's a purple blade holder and a different blade. The issue with cutting multiple layers of things that are not secured together is that they start to move. So if I had 3 layers of cardstock that were glued together, I know the cutting depth on the DX's is 3 millimeters.
Yes.
Is that true on the 1
Yes.
and 2? Okay, so 3 millimeters or less. And Teresa's going to show you the deep cut blade here in a second. So it's the purple, and the blades are different, and you can't, from experience, you can't put a deep cut blade in a standard blade holder, and you really need both pieces. So it's a yes and no. We had a customer where I used to work who was cutting wooden veneer to do inlaid tables. So you can do thicker things, but I couldn't stamp cut like a Sizzix and cut multiple of the same shape out. If I wanted 72 of the same thing, I would probably go to a 12 by 24 blade, a 12 by 24 mat, and then use, did you show the alignment feature?
No. Oh, where we change the size of the mat and how you can,
And you can turn them upside down.
the mat upside down?
No, the things. Since you asked, we're gonna go back to the screen.
I have a question as to what size were those hearts that you cut?
Go back.
Let's see.
5 inches.
Hmm. 3.94,
3.94.
about 4 inches.
Equal. Is that what you're saying?
It was
Up and down?
Yep, it was height and width, and so that's
Okay.
I think they looked a little tall and skinny personally, but everybody has a different opinion of a heart. Close that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wait, the triangles on the left. So go into your tools for me and fade out the background. I'm just take it off altogether. So I'm messing with Teresa here. And this is
Fine.
hard to see on camera. I don't know how to make it easier to see on camera. Nope, it's near impossible to see, but I'm just going to tell you, and then we'll bring the background back up and you might be able to see the contrast. So if we X out of that one, I know Teresa just loves when I help her with class.
No, it's fine.
The middle icon on the left-hand side is like an alignment tool. How many things do I have? And if I'm maybe using a scrapbooking paper and they all need to cut upright. So when we think in terms of fabric, we think in terms of nap. But if it's something that has a print to it, then I would use the very bottom icon, which will align everything in one line with the same orientation. The one above that, maybe I've got stripes, and I don't care which way the hearts are cut as long as the stripe, goes up and down. And so if we touch the one above that, you can see it'll nest them together. And so it'll just take them and kind of rotate them, but it'll still keep them with a vertical alignment. So it'll basically flip them or rotate them 180 degrees. If I'm cutting a bunch of things and I just want to get as many as I can, I go to the top, and what it does, and it's a little harder to see, but it may show up if you bring the background back up under the tools. Try the middle one.
Oops.
Yeah.
I
Tools.
want the middle one.
No, it's still really hard to see on camera. I'm gonna look for a different camera that'll.
You can
kind of see, but and the icon actually shows you a little bit better. It just kind of rotates them. It's assuming that whatever you're cutting, you either don't care, or it's a solid of something, and it's going to rotate them around every which direction to try and get as many out of a space as possible. So if I needed to cut a whole lot of something out of something like paper, I would do that. If I was working with fabric and I was worrying about grain lines, I would use the bottom two options because they're shapes that we don't want to cut on the bias. If you are not a fabric person, if you're more of a paper crafter and a stamper, I apologize that my translations don't come through that way. Yeah, the camera just does not like me, but just for guinea pig's sake, we're gonna do a real quick. I'm gonna see if this other camera connects. So hang on for us. USB camera. This one may actually give us a better image of the screen. So I'm gonna cover it just so you guys don't get dizzy, because there's nothing worse than the cameras moving around while you're trying to look at stuff. I brought this camera over from the other classroom. Let's see if it shows the screen better. We love technology. It's gonna move a little bit. Just bear with me. I'm gonna try and not make you dizzy while I zoom. Oop. Oh, no. Here's the cord. I'm wondering if this one picks up the image better. Now I can see all the stuff in the background. Does that pick up the image better? Nope. Oh, that one's almost worse. Okay, we're gonna switch you back. It was worth a shot. If anybody has any, not that piece of paper.
No.
If anybody has any brilliant insight into technology and cameras. We got new cameras, but they are not hitting all of the detail that we would like them to. Clearly. Oh, why does that look a little better? Can everybody see the hearts now? I couldn't see them before at all. They're a little hard, but I'll bet Teresa could probably outline them with the end of her stylus.
Yeah, they look a little better to me.
It's a little better. Okay. So you see how they're all kind of rotated funky? That's that third setting. So when you say to me, if I want to cut a whole lot of things, I wouldn't recommend cutting multiple layers of cardstock or basically anything. And that's one of the differences when people say to me, well, I want a cutter. I very often will ask you, what do you want a cutter for? Because if you want to cut multiple layers of fabric, and I apologize if you bought this somewhere else, but if you want to cut multiple layers of fabric, this is not the piece of equipment that I recommend for you. Something like an AccuQuilt will cut 6 layers of the exact same shape, but you have to buy a separate die for every different shape you want. So I can cut 2.5-inch strips with this, but I can only cut them 24 inches long because that's the longest mat. And I can only cut 4 across each time. And that's a whole lot of prepping fabric and cutting. And so, you know, it depends upon what you want to do. I love a scan and cut for cutting out my appliques and for cutting out things like key fobs once I've embroidered them. But you just have to, and this is what we're doing. So we're at the basics, but you have to learn to manipulate the different pieces of equipment to get what you want out of them. Did that answer that question? And I know we went off topic a little bit. Welcome to class with me versus class with somebody else. Okay, I'm gonna take that camera away because it did not do any better. I don't know why it might just be the angle changed. Is that still, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Is there any adjustments on the camera for light and dark?
No, the digital sort of cameras are a different animal. And we're using these are supposed to be wireless cameras. It's a little complicated. I have to disconnect them to look in the settings and then access them via Bluetooth to look at any of the settings. So we may try and evaluate it I just didn't expect to show this particular thing. But, you know, technology is weird.
Try tilting the screen a little bit.
Well, we did. This was, I sat here.
That's a little better.
That's good.
Yeah, but the angle's weird. Does that make sense?
No.
Well, it looks like you're standing on top of it. But hey, if that works better for everybody for right now, we'll be happy with it.
Not really.
Saying,
Looks like cards are off the mat.
oh, they are. They're not off the mat. They're off the piece of paper because this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. So hey, if you can see that, that's an improvement over what it was looking like on my computer screen a few minutes ago. Yeah, the mat is 12 inches wide. The paper is just a standard piece of cardstock paper, 8.5 by 11. Okay, so we totally went off topic.
That's okay. That's fine.
Okay,
This-
so Teresa's gonna pick you guys back up.
Yeah, this was just when we were talking about weeding and the tools. This is the cream color is actually a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. And this was something that I had cut for somebody that was doing a woodland themed baby shower. But you can see where the pick would come in handy because this was cut out of a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. And then we had to go in and take out all of the extra cardstock so we could get the actual design.
So where would I get a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock?
12 by 12 cardstock, any hobby store.
So it's typically scrapbooking supplies,
Scrapbooking supplies. Yeah.
which we would not have here.
No.
But if you're local, the Michaels is supposed to open,
Oh, I hope
I think I
so.
heard March.
Yay. Okay.
So that was that design in the machine?
No, this was actually, because it was a woodland theme, it was not in the machine.
Okay, where did you get that design? Because somebody's going to ask.
I don't recall at the moment.
So there are
But if somebody
places.
really needs it, I could probably try to find it again. But
There are places where you can download designs for free and purchase designs, and we're not
and
going to.
also, where's those cards? Now that we reached that point.
Well, these aren't the. I didn't bring the kit, the design packs. Is that what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, isn't that the
No.
premium?
These are software. Well,
Oh,
yeah.
it has designs.
Okay, fine. Whatever. I have some of the
Okay.
design.
Yeah, this has 125. You can buy extra designs. You have the 600 on these machines. Then you can buy packs. You can go on the Brother site and it'll say refer to your dealer, but you can see all the different packs that they have available. This one is Premium Pack 1, and it has 125 designs plus enhanced image tracing, which is something you would use in Canvas Workspace to trace something to get a clean image. Oh, this is Adobe Illustrator. Okay. Here's a couple of more.
All of those
This-
collections are listed in Workspace.
Right. And they're on the Brothers site too. So there's more designs. Then there's also, if you want to add on, we talked about premium functions in the settings and how you go to Canvas Workspace to activate your premium settings or your premium functions. That would be something like if you bought the foiling as an add-on, the embossing, the stamp set, the calligraphy set,
Rhinestones.
rhinestones, paper punch.
Paper punch doesn't work on these.
Okay, that doesn't work
DX
on
only.
these. DX only. Any of those, any of the premium functions that you can add all come with designs as well. And like Bunny said, there's a lot of sites where you can go. There's free designs. You just, again, just as with your embroidery, if you're familiar with the embroidery and anything else really, you have to be aware of your copyright laws. Some of these sites that sell designs, sell them with commercial license included. Others, you have to pay extra for a commercial license. But there's, a lot out there. You can find some royalty-free clip art. You download that, you can scan that in and cut that or draw whatever you'd like to do. Let's see.
Can each design work with the original scan and cut? I've noticed on the ones you showed, it said scan and cut 2.
The answer is,
Oh, this
depends
one.
upon what you're talking about. So like
Oh,
this
scan and cut
Christmas,
too. Yeah.
this one, go ahead and hold that. This particular one is scan and cut canvas. So those it's a premium upgrade to the software side that helps with image tracing. So it's premium pack number 1, but it would work because it's software based. It would allow you to export things to a scan and cut 1 or a scan and cut 2. This Christmas collection, so that's a different kind of an animal. This Christmas collection, you see it says Scan and Cut DX, Scan and Cut, and Design and Cut. So that's all of them. So there are some like this, which we didn't show the first time, where it just says Scan and Cut DX because they're for an additional piece of hardware with the DXs that works with what's called a roll feeder, and it'll cut up to a 6-foot roll of like vinyls. So they're usually identified. But the one Workspace is not Scan and Cut 2 only. It's a software piece. I think that was just a printing, I don't know what the word I want is. There was a bad choice with printing, but it may be because that particular piece came in the box with the Scan and Cut no, not SDX. The 650WX. It was included with that one. So I'm guessing that that's why they purposely put Scan and Cut 2, because it came with the 2.
Right. And I think there was another question we had earlier about the Canvas Workspace software, the online version. The Canvas Workspace software, again, it's a free software that works with your Scan and Cut. There are 2 versions. There's an online version, and then there's also a downloadable version. The downloadable version is nice because you can work offline. You don't have to be connected to the internet to go ahead and work with the Canvas Workspace.
Give me just a second. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to screen share it for you guys. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what Canvas Workspace looks like. canvasworkspacebrother.com. It may be different outside of the United States. And we do have people from all over the world between the 2 classes. So I just Googled Brother Scan and Cut Canvas, which turned into Canvas Workspace. It's completely free to create an account. If you have a wireless cutter, you need to have a Scan and Cut Canvas account. So you can just go out there and register, and then you can download it to your computer, or you can just work with it online. So if you're working with a tablet, you can work right on your tablet. We will have a future class on Canvas Workspace. I will be very upfront about this. It will not be a free class. It will be minimally priced if we can keep the number of interested participants until we get a better handle on making sure that you all can see what we're doing and that all our cameras and things are working appropriately. We won't teach paid classes, if that makes sense to everybody. So we want to make sure that everyone is comfortable, that we're able to get the links to you in a timely manner. We had some trouble with that for people who registered at the last minute. I have a couple people who are not very happy with me, and I do apologize. We tried to be as clear as we could that we're learning in this process, but it helps us to learn if we have a real live audience. Okay, so that website, canvasworkspace.brother.com here in the US. I'm gonna cancel the screen share. And we're gonna go back to the machine. Do we have anything that in the basics?
I think we've pretty much covered everything we were gonna do. We haven't really touched on the scan feature, but I wanted to make that a part 2 of the class because it's so involved. So we thought we'd just hold that off until let everybody become familiar with their buttons, their menus, and all of their different pages and functions and settings within their machines. So
Okay, we have questions. Can we use the Disney patterns? You can purchase the scan and cut design packs from your dealer. And the way those additional design packs work is they actually activate on Canvas. And then you can export them to your machine. Part of that process is that internal machine number that Teresa showed you in the settings. So one of the things with Scan and Cut Canvas is that it does ask you for the machine number, and it's that number. That's not the number that's okay. That's not the number that's on the outside of the machine. It's an internal processor number. So yes, even if you didn't buy a Disney model, you can activate some of the Disney packs. I will tell you that all the packs are shown on Canvas. You can kind of see them. You just can't activate them without getting them from a retailer.
and is it true with those that once you activate them, they only activate to one machine?
They only activate to one machine. Yep, it's activated to your Canvas account. So you can't activate them and share them with other people. And that's why this machine number that we're showing you is so important. And the washi tape, oh, I got the message from Sharon directly. Yeah, we carry the washi tape. Washi tape is a Japanese product. It's a light tack tape. We have in the past used some of us use Floriani embroidery perfection tape, but it's stickier. The washi tape is really unsticky. Now, if your mat is really, really unsticky, even after you've cleaned it, there is a point where we need to just let the mats go. And the reason is once you start cutting something, even though you might have sort of taped down the edges, things start to move as you start to cut them. Okay. And Vicki, I appreciate that about the fluorescent lights. We actually don't have fluorescent lights in this building. Everything we have is LED, and 3/4 of the LEDs are off in the classroom. I just think we need to probably source a camera that's specifically designed to showcase the screen, and or get some kind of a screen topper, anti-glare, something that might help. And we'll research that. We've been doing okay with embroidery machine screens, but I think they're a little bit brighter than the scan.
I just wanted to thank you very much for what you've done for us today. I have to leave, but I just wanted to say thank you, and it is very informative.
A lot to take in. We realize that.
Yes, it is.
So the goal moving forward is to repeat this class sort of in its entirety, and then offer a sort of a part 2. Those are going to
You'll let us know when.
We will. Those are going to be absolutely no charge. We will post about the videos when the videos go up in the event, on the event page. We will let everybody know who was registered for class the first time know about future classes for these. And then most of you have been added to our mailing list. You can always unsubscribe, but we don't send a whole lot of emails. We don't send AccuQuilt emails 1 a day or 2 a day. That's some craziness. Okay. Oh wait, it says more messages. Hang on, but that's not the right playbook.
Oh,
So no, you
Sharon.
can't show it to them.
Oh, right. Okay.
6 p.m. class. Okay, our 6 p.m. class is on the Scan and Cut DX series, which is the machines with the auto blade. We will basically be going through the same process, making sure that people understand what all the buttons are and all the basic functions are. If you're interested in seeing a DX, I will tell you that I don't think that is the best time to do that. There's a fair amount of video out there. If you're a YouTube person and you like to fall into the YouTube rabbit hole, Brother has a huge amount of YouTube presence on Scan and Cuts. So what our goal is with these is to give you guys enough of a foundation so then when we go to do a project and we tell you to go to the X, Y, or Z button, you know where those are. We have taught classes in person, and no offense to some of you who are here, you sometimes need reminded of where those buttons are. We can do that when you're here. We can come around and point at it for you. We can't do that when you're, remote. So it's really important that we give you good foundation for that. And Miss Pat is also local. Do we have which in stock, Miss Pat? The Disney designs? I'm going to scroll up and see, was it you that was asking about the Disney patterns? Oh, yes. I have some of them in stock. I may only have Alice in Wonderland at the moment. But I am getting ready to put a Brother order in. Pat, so if you look into Canvas, if there's anything there that you want, by all means.
Is there a possibility, do you carry the mats and all the other little gadgets and gizmos and the blades and everything else that we can order for you?
So who's talking?
This is Shirley.
Okay, Miss Shirley. And I think I spoke with you on the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I did. Oh, I am not ma'am. I'm not ma'am to anybody unless you're a U.S. Marine.
Not even on a good day.
I'm not going to go there. So I was getting ready to reiterate this. I am an abnormal store owner. It is important to me that you buy locally. If you do not have a local shop, and we know a lot of you have lost shops during all of this, I would highly encourage you to go to the Brother website and find the next closest dealer. That being said, the answer is yes, we do sell basically all of the stuff. And we will happily ship it to you. And I will put in this blurb, we're in the state of Delaware and it is sales tax free here. But it is more important to me. And this is part of why I don't work for my old boss anymore. It's more important to me that you support your local shops, even if they don't do a lot with Scan and Cut. They just sold you the thing, but they don't carry all the stuff. Ask them to order it for you. We will, if there is anything that you're looking for, and you'll notice that we didn't show you a whole lot. There's a whole lot of other stuff here. We didn't show you a whole lot of it. If there is anything that you are looking for, we are offering 20% off for Brother stuff, whether it be activation cards or design packs or mats. We will happily get those to you because I don't want this to be a sales class. And you all know what I'm talking about. You've all been to events where they're like, here's this thing, don't you want to buy it? It's great. Here's a piece of equipment that you own. I want you to learn how to use it. The more you use it, you will reach a point where you might want a different piece of equipment, Sharon. And that's fine. But until you get there, I can't justify it. In this business, and this is probably more than I should tell you, they tell you not to think with other people's wallets. And I try not to, because believe me, if I want something, I'm gonna buy it. I bought myself a new embroidery machine last year. No, 2 years ago. Oh, has it been that long? Okay, I just forget this last year happened. So, it took me 15 years to buy a new piece of equipment. I had to really be in a place where I could justify it. But in the meantime, I want you to be able to participate in all of the classes that whoever offers. And you know, a lot of you are local, not all of you are. You are welcome to unmute yourselves at this point if you want to. So yes, I'll sell you some stuff. I'd still rather you, if you're not local, buy from your local shop. I do appreciate the question, and I will sell it to you. I just don't want anybody to think that that's why we're doing this, because it's not. I mean, it's an outshoot of us teaching our local people that we can't teach in person right now, so we might as well teach some other people. The more that you know, the more that then, as the world sort of regains its balance and we're able to be in groups again, the more that you know, the more you have an opportunity to, you know, share what you've learned maybe with a shop that is struggling, doesn't have somebody that specializes in scan and cut. Maybe you could find yourself a part-time job. You should see the look on Teresa's face. She's like, I don't know why I got involved with you 15 years ago. 20? Has it been almost 20?
20.
Was it Loaders?
Mhm.
Oh, it's more than 20. That's almost 30 years. Ladies, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm not 50 yet. So I've been doing this a very long time. Okay, any other questions for us?
Teresa, this is Barbara.
Yep.
I would like to see if I've got the correct procedure for doing something. So
Okay.
would you listen to what I wrote down?
Okay.
So the first thing I said is you place your item to be cut on the mat.
Okay.
Then you hit the mat button to place the mat in the machine. Then you hit the start button to scan the mat. Then you do a test cut at the bottom of that item that you have on the mat. You choose your patterns to place for whatever you want to cut out. Then you adjust the patterns until you get it the way that you want it. And then you hit the cut button. Is that correct?
Did you have in there, after you loaded your mat, and then you have to
Scan the mat.
scan the mat?
Yeah, I thought I did that, but
Okay.
that was a tiny little item I put underneath and I may have forgotten to read
Yeah,
that.
you want to scan your mat, so that'll show you where your fabric or your cardstock or whatever is. Because when you do your test cut, you want to have that scanned in so you can move your little test cut
Right,
square or circle down to the bottom.
bottom. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
I got it.
I'm
Finally got it.
gonna ask, and Barb is also one of our regulars here. I'm gonna ask Barb to email me that list
Oh, okay.
so that Teresa and I can walk through it, and then we will correct it if it needs correcting, and we will share that with everybody else, because we may have just confused every other person in the classroom.
Right.
So
Okay, not a problem. I'll do that.
okay. And Miss Bridget, I saw your message. We will, I have mixed feelings about posting this version on YouTube. We will post these on YouTube for those of you who got here late. This is not an unusual occurrence for us because we run our classes as what's called authenticated users only. And we try and make it very clear that you have to have a Zoom account before you can access our classes. A lot of places, they just send you the Zoom link. You can just click on it.
Yeah.
Ours is a little bit different, and there's a couple of reasons for it. One,
But what happened also, I had the wrong link.
did you have the evening link?
Yeah. After I did all that, I called my son in Hawaii to help me through all the Zoom stuff. And then we come to find out that I had the wrong link. My girlfriend sent me the link for this class.
Oh, is your girlfriend here? Thank you, girlfriend. So this is part of the process for us, is trying to expand to a larger audience than just our local people. So I've said it, I think 7 or 8 times now, you know, we are learning right alongside you. We know how the equipment operates. What we're learning is how to operate the computer hardware for projecting the classes, the cameras, the microphones, all of that. So we appreciate your being a part of that. So I will post these links, although I will tell you that at one point we skipped part of it, but we are going to repeat this. On one of our breaks, Teresa said, I want to redo a couple of things. So when we do it again, then what we'll do is take down the YouTubes from today and we will post a much better version. And at that point, then we will stop teaching the basics for the older style scanning cuts. And as we move forward with creative classes, we will teach them based on a DX model. But we will say, you know, if you have a 1 or 2, you'll need to adjust your blade and do your test cut. We will put those interjections in there. But it's very hard to teach multiple generations of equipment in person, let alone remotely. But we're trying. But we will put up, when we get to our final version, we will put up some really good, clear versions on YouTube that then you can always refer back to. Did that make sense? And I apologize that you got the wrong link. I have to tell you all, Teresa's going to scoot to the left so we can keep our 6 feet apart. And I'm going to change the cameras real quick. And you're going to get to see me again to be afraid. 78. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Would you flip the light switch behind you? So now you can see here's a microphone and some of the various cameras. No, that was the wrong direction. Leave them on. On is good. Yeah, since oh no, that was terrible. Turn that one off. So we've been doing this for, remotely for about a year. We picked up virtual classes back in about March. With our regular customers, a lot of them are here. They can kind of speak up if they'd like. And when we decided to try the scan and cut, we really anticipated them. Okay, just them. I have to tell you that between the 2 scan and cut classes, somehow our silly, dinky little store in Delaware has reached over 17,000 people.
Wow.
Y'all, I do not want 17,000 people to want to take a class with me. That is way too much pressure. Teresa was like, stop telling me. Because I was like, Teresa, 3,000 people saw it. Teresa, 5,000. She was like, stop it. So the fact that we got you guys far enough to get any kind of link to this, compared with kind of the chaos we've been running through with this, it is so appreciated. I can't tell you. My regulars, both male and female, know how much I appreciate each one of you. I learn from every one of my customers. They think I know things I don't know. I just fake it really well. So I want to say thank you for being here and putting up with kind of the craziness. In the future, it will probably just be Teresa and I'll be out of the classroom. But for today, we're here together to kind of see how these things go. What did you just throw at me? Oh, one of those. Okay. So from the bottom of the bank owns the store, I don't, little heart. Thank you. And please share feedback. We know we've got a camera screen thing happening that is not ideal. So we'll try, we have a couple other cameras around here. We'll try and figure out which one hits that the best. And then it'll get a little posted on it, taped to it permanently that'll say scan and cut screen. But I think we've got kind of the basics. Everybody's gotten through the buttons and the settings. We'll do this part again. Class 2 will really be focused on the scanning function, and we'll get a little bit further into the cutting. If there is, Miss Shirley, did I remember that right? Yes, Miss Shirley. If there is anything that you are bound and determined to buy from us, please reply to the email that had your Zoom link. Let us know what you're looking for, and we'll give you a call. That's how I work. I'm a personal connection. I never wanted to be you could buy something on my website and we would just mail it to you. Turns out that we've had to become that this last year. I am thankful that I have a website that will do that. not everything was listed to be able to show up online. So we're still having to correct some things because, you know, this has been a crazy year for all of us. So we appreciate your being here. Is there anything else that we didn't answer? I'm trying to look at the chat. And class tips.
I had one question about vinyl,
Oh, are you
Madeira.
Madeira? Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty. Yes, vinyl. Whenever you test cut anything, you want to test cut. I mean, whenever you cut anything, you always want to test cut. Vinyl is a different animal. And I will tell you that the DX models have something called a half cut that's really specifically for vinyl, where it just cuts partway through and doesn't cut the backing. But yeah, and you can mimic that with a Scan and Cut 1 or a Scan and Cut 2, but it does require a lot more testing. You turn that blade just a little bit and do a sample, and turn that blade just a little bit. And every brand of vinyl, every type of vinyl is going to be different. Same with fabrics, same with paper. Every time you cut something different, my paper settings might have been, you know, at a 5, but now I go to a much heavier paper and I've got to bring it up. And I'll tell you, it gets a little more complicated because some of the original Scan and Cuts, that little dial around the side, some of them went from 1 to 10 and some go from 1 to 12.
Okay.
So there's not always a whole lot of consistency. When you change your blade, you want to test cut. Use your previous settings as a guide, but trust that the new blade is going to cut differently. Just like our scissors or our steak knives, you know, when they start to get dull, you have to put a lot more pressure behind them. So a newer blade is going to require a lot less pressure. So there's all these variables. We're hoping that we give you enough foundation to start. We're going to repeat this foundation because this lower level for the cement work did not go as perfect. So we're going to tear it all up. We're going to do it again. And hopefully we'll have most of you here with us for that.
All right, thank you.
You are very welcome. Okay, finals, 2 new messages. Trying to do all this at once is really fun. You are very welcome, ladies. We do look forward to seeing more of you here. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for the class. Looking forward to the next one.
You are very welcome. Okay. Anybody else need me? Oh, more. It says more new messages. Okay. I'm glad that we were helpful. Y'all can scoot out if you need to. We're going to hang out a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn the camera off, but the audio is still on. And so Teresa and I are going to get ready for the next class. But if you need us for anything, you are welcome to talk to us. And I'm going to make her take a break here in about 5 minutes.
Thanks, Bunny and Teresa.
You're welcome. Oh, I knew that voice.
Thank you.
Bonnie, just double checking on the email address. It's the
Send it to contact.
contact. Okay.
Yep.
No problem. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, Barb. Yeah, the video's off. The audio's on, but you can say hi, Mike.
Hello. Anyone up front?
Laurel, Janet. Whichever one is not in the kitchen is up front. No, he asked me if somebody was up front, and I'm like, I thought that, like, one of them is up there. One of them is back there. Okie dokie.